Rebecca Walsh stared at the invitation on her desk. Cream cardstock, gold lettering, her sister Charlotte's perfect handwriting. 10th anniversary celebration, black tie, +1 expected. Those 3 words felt like a knife. Rebecca was 34, senior vice president at Morrison Financial in Chicago, made $300,000 a year, owned a penthouse in Lincoln Park. But she couldn't show up to her sister's party without being pitied. Poor Rebecca, still single, so focused on her. Career. Such a shame she's become so cold. She'd heard it her whole adult life. From her mother, from Charlotte, from family who gathered at holidays viewing Rebecca's solitary status as a character flaw. The last relationship that mattered had ended 6 years ago when Thomas told her he felt like he was dating a corporation. You're never actually here, Rebecca. Your body shows up, but you're always thinking about work. He'd been right. But Rebecca hadn't known how to change. So Thomas left. And Rebecca had let him, and in 6 years, she'd been on exactly 4 dates, all disastrous, all ending with, "You're intimidating," or just ghosting. If you've ever felt like the competent version of yourself is incompatible with being loved, if you've ever chosen achievement over connection because achievement was predictable, you need to hear what happens next. Stay with us. Rebecca opened her laptop and navigated to a website she'd heard about from a colleague. Elite Companionship Services. People who needed dates for events where showing up alone would be too complicated. She typed quickly, "Need a partner for formal anniversary party in 3 weeks. Black tie, 6 hours including dinner and dancing. Must handle high society crowd and intrusive questions. Compensation, $12,000. The response came within 2 hours. "I can help. Marcus Cole. Professional, discreet, experienced. When can we meet?" Rebecca looked at his profile. African-American man, early 30s, warm eyes, and an easy smile. His description mentioned work as an event coordinator, someone who understood professional environments. Nothing set off alarm bells. She messaged back, "Tomorrow, 6 p.m., library bar at the Peninsula Hotel, navy blazer." His response was immediate. "I'll be there. Looking forward to meeting you, Rebecca." The next evening, Rebecca arrived 15 minutes early, ordering a gin and tonic she barely touched. Marcus arrived exactly at 6, taller than expected, maybe 6'2", wearing dark jeans and a charcoal sweater. He spotted her immediately, extending his hand. "Rebecca, Marcus Cole. Thank you for meeting me." She gestured to the seat across from her. "Thank you for responding quickly. Questions?" "Several. Tell me about the event." "You're perceptive." "It's my job. Sister's anniversary. 10th, I'm guessing. +1 expected made attending alone impossible." Rebecca was surprised. "My sister Charlotte married at 24. She's been insufferably smug ever since." Perfect husband, perfect kids, perfect house. I'm the cautionary tale, the career woman who sacrificed family for ambition. And you want to show up with someone to prove what, exactly? That I'm not broken. That I'm capable of having a relationship. Marcus took a slow sip of his whiskey. "Are those things you believe? Or things you think your family believes? Does it matter?" "Yeah. Because if you actually think you're broken, I can't fix that in 6 hours. I can play the role." Convincingly, help you get through the event. But I can't heal whatever wound is driving you to spend $12,000 to avoid being honest. Rebecca felt anger flash. "I'm not hiring you for therapy." "I know, but I need to understand what I'm walking into. If this is just about avoiding awkward questions, that's easy. If this is about proving something to yourself, that's harder. And if this is about punishing your sister, that's disaster. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want one. Evening without being pitied. I want my family to see me as complete, not a deficit needing fixing. That's honest. I can work with that. Marcus pulled out his phone. Tell me about Charlotte and Michael, your parents. Who else will be there? Your life, your work, what you do for fun. I need to know you well enough that when someone asks how we met, I can answer without hesitating. Over the next hour, Rebecca found herself talking more openly than she had in years. Marcus asked pointed questions, occasionally clarifying. He wanted to know about her childhood with Charlotte, their parents' subtle favoritism toward the daughter who chose the traditional path. About Rebecca's work, whether she liked it or tolerated it. Her apartment, her routines, the last vacation she'd taken. You work 60-hour weeks, he said. Gym at 5:30 because it's the only time. Eat most meals at your desk. Haven't read a non-workbook in 2 years. Can't remember the last time you laughed until... Your stomach hurt. Rebecca felt exposed. Your point? You're not just pretending to have a boyfriend for one night. You're pretending to be someone who has space for a boyfriend. That's bigger than you realize. So this won't work. I'm saying we need to make it believable. We need to spend time together before the party. Build a history that feels real. Otherwise, your sister will see through this in 10 minutes. How much time? 3 weeks? At least 5 or 6 meetings? Dinners? Activities where we're doing things together. Your sister's been married 10 years. She knows what real intimacy looks like. Rebecca's instinct was to refuse, but she recognized truth. Charlotte would absolutely see through poor performance. Fine. 12,000 for the party. Prep time is part of the service. Marcus smiled. Fair. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Meet me at the Art Institute. We'll walk through galleries and talk about something other than wealth management. I don't do art. Museums. You do now. If someone asks what we did last weekend, I need to describe an actual shared experience. Real memories are easier to reference. He stood. And Rebecca? Wear something other than black. You wear black to armor yourself. Your boyfriend would have gotten you to branch out. After Marcus left, Rebecca sat alone finishing her watery gin and tonic, feeling unsettled in a way she couldn't name. He'd seen through her so quickly. It was invasive and oddly comforting. Someone. Actually paying attention. Thursday evening, Rebecca almost canceled 3 times. But at 6:30, she changed into dark jeans and a deep green sweater she'd bought years ago and never worn. Marcus was waiting at the museum entrance, scrolling his phone. He looked up and smiled. You wore green, I'm impressed. Don't be, it's still dark. Baby steps. He gestured toward the entrance. Ready? They wandered through galleries mostly in silence at first. But gradually, something shifted. Marcus. Would stop in front of a painting and say nothing. Just look. And Rebecca found herself actually looking too. What do you see? He asked in front of a Rothko, one of those massive color field paintings Rebecca had always dismissed. Rectangles of color. Look longer. She did, feeling ridiculous. But after a moment, the colors seemed to vibrate, to pulse, to create depth. It's like standing at the edge of something, like looking down into water deeper than you expected. That's good. Real. Observation. Marcus moved to the next painting. I see someone who spent their life trying to distill emotion to its purest form, who believed the right colors in the right proportions could make you feel something wordless and true. Rebecca looked at him instead of the painting. You actually care about this? Yeah. Art history degree before I figured out there weren't many jobs. Now I do this, coordinate corporate events, help my mom run her catering business on weekends. Not what I... planned, but it's okay. Do you ever feel like you wasted your education? Do you ever feel like you wasted your humanity? The question hit hard. Rebecca turned back to the painting. Every day. They got dinner afterward at a small Italian place Marcus knew. Red and white checkered tablecloths, candles and wine bottles. The pasta was good, and Marcus was easy to talk to. Why wealth management? He asked over shared tiramisu. Numbers make sense. Markets are predictable in there. Unpredictability. You can model risk, hedge against uncertainty, protect people's assets. That's what you do. I asked why. Rebecca was quiet. My parents lost everything in 2008. Bad investments, over-leveraged real estate. They had to sell the house I grew up in. My dad never recovered from the shame. I was in business school when it happened. I watched him break, and I decided I'd never let that happen to me, or to anyone I was responsible for. So you became the person who protects others. From chaos, I suppose, and built walls so high no chaos could get in. But nothing else could either. You're doing the therapy thing again. Sorry. Here's my story. Grew up in Inglewood, South Side. Dad wasn't around. Mom worked 3 jobs. I got a scholarship to Northwestern, studied something impractical because I finally could. Graduated with art history degree and $60,000 in loans into a recession. Realized I had 2 choices. Find work that paid bills or stick to principles and... drown in debt. You chose the bills. I chose survival. Like you did. We're not that different. We both built lives around not being vulnerable to what hurt us. You to financial chaos, me to poverty. Difference is, I figured out that protecting yourself from everything means experiencing nothing. You think I haven't figured that out? I think you know it intellectually. But you haven't let yourself feel it. Rebecca wanted to be annoyed but couldn't. He was right. She knew her life was empty. She just didn't know how to fill it without risking collapse. Over the next 2 weeks, they met 4 more times. A walk along the lakefront trail where Marcus pointed out architectural details Rebecca passed daily without seeing. A cooking class where they made pasta from scratch, and Rebecca burned the first batch but laughed instead of spiraling. A jazz concert in Millennium Park where Marcus explained the musical complexity she'd dismissed as random noise. Each time, Rebecca felt something loosening, not breaking, loosening, like a muscle clenched so long she'd forgotten it could relax. Tell me about your family, she said one evening over coffee in Pilsen. Marcus stirred sugar, considering. My mom's a force of nature, runs her catering business like a general, opinionated, loud, warm, incapable of letting anyone leave hungry. 2 younger sisters, both married with kids. I'm the disappointing oldest child. Not married, no kids, no stable career. Sound familiar? How do you handle it? The disappointment? I don't give them power to define me. I love my family, but I don't let their vision of success become my metric. They think I should be a lawyer or doctor. I think I should be happy. We've agreed to disagree. Just like that? Not just like that. Years of arguments, strained relationships, but eventually, equilibrium. They stopped trying to fix me. I stopped being angry they couldn't understand. Rebecca felt sharp envy. I don't know how to be at peace with disappointing people. Start by figuring out who you're actually disappointing. Is it them? Or some version of yourself you think you should have become? The week before the party, Marcus insisted on a dress rehearsal. We need to practice being physical. If we're supposed to be a couple, we need comfortable, casual touch. Hand-holding, my arm around your waist, standing close. All the little intimacies that signal we're together. They met at Rebecca's apartment, Marcus arriving with tie. Takeout and wine. It was the first time he'd seen where she lived. The apartment was beautiful in that sterile, professionally decorated way. Gray and white and chrome, expensive furniture never properly lived in. Marcus walked through slowly. This looks like a staged property. You know that, right? It's clean and organized. It's lifeless. Where are your books, photos, evidence a human exists here? I don't have photos. I don't really have anyone to take photos with. The admission hung in. The air, more vulnerable than intended. Marcus's expression softened. After the party, if you want, I'll help make this place look less like a mausoleum. But tonight, let's focus on rehearsal. They ate at her dining table, which Rebecca realized she'd never used for dining. Marcus asked questions like they were on a date, getting her to practice their story. They'd met through work. His event business was hired by her company. Conversation turned into coffee, turned into something more. How long have we been together? Marcus prompted. 8 months. What do I do that drives you crazy? You're chronically 5 minutes late. Leave coffee cups everywhere. Annoyingly optimistic about human nature. Good. Specific complaints make it real. What do you love about me? Rebecca hesitated. In her apartment with city lights beyond the windows and Marcus looking at her with those warm eyes, the practiced answers felt inadequate. You see me, she said, off script. Not the version I... Present to the world. The actual me underneath. Something shifted in Marcus's expression. Rebecca, I know this is just a job. I'm not confused. But for the performance, that's what I'd say. That you see me. Okay. His voice was careful. And how do I make you feel? Less alone. They practiced being physical after dinner. Marcus showed her how to hold his hand naturally, how to lean into him when they stood close, how to let him guide her with a hand on her back without tensing. Each touch was professional, careful, but Rebecca felt every single one. You're holding your breath, Marcus observed. Relax. We're supposed to be comfortable. I'm not comfortable with anyone. I know, but for 6 hours you need to pretend. Close your eyes. When she did, he stepped closer. I'm going to put my arms around you, like we're slow dancing. Just breathe. His arms encircled her, one hand on her back, one on her waist. They swayed slightly. No music. Rebecca's head ended up against his chest, and she could hear his heartbeat, steady and calm. This is what it would feel like, Marcus said softly. If you let someone in, if you trusted someone this close, it wouldn't hurt, wouldn't make you weaker. It would just feel like this. Rebecca kept her eyes closed, letting herself exist in the moment without analyzing. For 30 seconds, she imagined this was real, that she had someone who held her like this, who made her feel safe instead of vigilant, who knew her actual self. and hadn't run. When she opened her eyes, Marcus was looking down at her with an expression she couldn't read. "You okay?" "Yeah, I think so." "Good. Because tomorrow's the party, and we need you to do that without looking like you're having a panic attack." The next evening, Rebecca stood in front of her mirror in a deep blue cocktail dress. More feminine than her usual style, fitted bodice and flowing skirt Marcus had insisted would photograph better. Hair down instead of her severe bun. Pearl. Earrings her grandmother had left her. Jewelry usually locked away because it felt too precious. She barely recognized herself. And that was the point. Marcus arrived exactly on time, wearing a tailored black suit. He stopped in her doorway, looking at her with undisguised appreciation. "You look beautiful." "You're supposed to say that. You're being paid." "I'm being paid to pretend we're together, not to lie about objective facts. You look beautiful, Rebecca. Own it." The drive to Winnetka. Took 45 minutes through Friday traffic. Marcus drove, having insisted they arrive in one car like an actual couple. Rebecca sat in the passenger seat trying not to spiral into anxiety. Marcus seemed to sense her tension. "Tell me something true," he said quietly. "Something you've never told anyone." "Why?" "Because when we walk in there, you need to feel like we're a team. Like it's us against them, not you alone trying to fool everyone. So tell me something real. Something that makes..." "You vulnerable. Then I'll tell you something real. And we'll be even." Rebecca looked out the window at the suburban streets passing by. "I'm terrified my sister is right. That I've wasted my life building something impressive that doesn't actually matter. That I'll die alone in my sterile apartment and no one will notice for days." The confession hung in the air. Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I'm terrified I'm exactly like my dad," he said finally. "That I'm charming and unreliable and..." "Ultimately someone people can't count on. That I'll wake up at 50 having never committed to anything or anyone, because I was too busy playing roles to build something real." Rebecca looked at him, surprised by the rawness of his admission. "We're quite a pair." "Yeah, we are." He pulled into the circular driveway of a massive colonial house lit up like a movie set. "Ready to do this?" "Not even slightly." "Perfect. Neither am I. Let's go be brilliant anyway." The house was exactly what Rebecca expected. Vaulted ceilings, crystal chandeliers, tasteful floral arrangements everywhere. Charlotte had spared no expense. About 60 people milled around with champagne glasses, the men in tuxedos, the women in designer dresses. Rebecca recognized most of them. Family friends, Charlotte's society crowd, people who'd known Rebecca as the weird, intense younger sister who'd chosen business school over marriage. Charlotte spotted them immediately, gliding over in a champagne-colored gown. That probably cost more than Rebecca's car payment. "Rebecca, you made it. And you must be Marcus. I've heard absolutely nothing about you, which is very unlike my sister." Marcus extended his hand smoothly. "Charlotte, your home is beautiful. Thank you for having us." "Well, I had to meet the man who finally tamed my sister's heart." Charlotte's smile was sharp. "Rebecca's been so secretive about you. 8 months together and not a single family dinner. I was starting to think you were..." "Imaginary. Just busy," Rebecca said, her voice steadier than she felt. Marcus's hand found the small of her back, grounding her. "Marcus travels a lot for work. Event coordination, right? That must be so interesting." Charlotte's tone suggested it was anything but. "What kind of events?" Corporate conferences, product launches, private celebrations, anywhere people want an experience to run smoothly. Marcus's smile was easy, unbothered by Charlotte's subtle condescension. Actually, I coordinated a launch party for a tech company Rebecca's firm invested in. That's how we met. She was there in her intimidating VP capacity. I was making sure the champagne didn't run out. Our first conversation was her telling me the ice sculpture was melting too quickly. The detail was perfect, specific enough to sound true, self-deprecating enough to be charming. Charlotte laughed. That sounds exactly like Rebecca, always finding problems. I prefer solutions-oriented, Rebecca said dryly. Their mother appeared, elegant in navy blue, her expression brightening when she saw Marcus. "Mom, this is Marcus," Rebecca said. "Marcus, my mother, Patricia Walsh. Mrs. Walsh, it's wonderful to finally meet you. Rebecca speaks about you often." Patricia's eyes softened. "Does she?" She's not usually very forthcoming about her personal life. She turned to Rebecca. "He's handsome. Why have you been hiding him?" "I haven't been hiding him. We've just been busy." "Busy." Patricia's tone carried decades of disappointment. "You're always busy, Rebecca. I hope Marcus knows what he's getting into." "I do," Marcus said smoothly, squeezing Rebecca's hand. "I knew from the moment I met her that Rebecca doesn't do anything halfway. Her dedication to her work is part of what I love about her. She's extraordinary at what she does." Something in Patricia's expression shifted slightly, softened by Marcus's genuine seeming defense. "Well, it's nice to know someone appreciates that quality." They moved through the party, Marcus navigating it perfectly. He was charming with her father, funny with her cousins, respectful with Charlotte's husband Michael. He told their origin story with just enough detail to be convincing, laughed at the right moments, touched Rebecca in small, casual ways that signaled comfort and intimacy. But what surprised Rebecca was that it didn't feel entirely like performance. When Marcus's hand settled on her waist as they talked to her uncle, it felt natural. When he leaned in to whisper something funny in her ear about her cousin's terrible toupee, she laughed genuinely. When they danced during dinner, moving slowly to a jazz quartet Charlotte had hired, Rebecca found herself actually relaxed in his arms. "You're doing great," Marcus murmured as they swayed. "Better than great. You look happy." "I'm pretending." "Are you?" "Because from where I'm standing, that smile is real." Rebecca realized he was right. Somewhere between arriving and now, she'd stopped performing and started actually enjoying herself. Not despite Marcus, but because of him. Because having someone on her side, someone who saw her and liked her anyway, made the rest of it easier to bear. "Can I ask you something?" she said quietly. "Always. When this is over, when the party's done and you've been paid, do we just go back to being strangers?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, his hand tightening slightly on her waist. "Is that what you want?" "No. But I don't know what else to want. I don't know how to do this for real." "Rebecca! Marcus! Rebecca!" Charlotte's voice cut through the moment. She was gesturing them toward the front of the room where a microphone stood. "Come on, I'm doing speeches." They moved to the side as Charlotte took the microphone, launching into a speech about love and commitment, and the beautiful life she and Michael had built. Rebecca felt Marcus's hand find hers, their fingers interlacing, and she held on tighter than was probably necessary. 10 years, Charlotte was saying. 10 years of partnership, of growth, of building something meaningful together. I look around this room and I see so many people I love, including my sister Rebecca, who I know works so hard. I'm so glad she finally found someone who can keep up with her. The comment was meant to be sweet, but landed with Charlotte's usual edge. To love, to commitment, to building lives that matter. Everyone applauded. Marcus leaned close to Rebecca's ear. Your sister's a piece of work. You have no idea. Actually, I do. I've been watching her all night. She's deeply insecure, which is why she needs to make little digs at you. It makes her feel better about her own choices. Pop psychology? Accurate assessment. He smiled. You're twice the person she is, Rebecca. You just don't see it yet. As the party wound down, Rebecca and Marcus found themselves on the back terrace, escaping the noise inside. The night was cool, Chicago's distant skyline visible on the horizon. Rebecca leaned against the railing, feeling the champagne and the evening's emotional weight settling into her bones. Thank you, she said quietly. For tonight. For all of it. You were perfect. So were you. Marcus stood beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. And I need to tell you something. What? This stopped being just a job for me about 2 weeks ago, maybe sooner. I've been trying to stay professional, to maintain boundaries, but I'm not very good at lying to myself. He turned to face her fully. I care about you, Rebecca. Not fake boyfriend care. Real care. The kind that makes me want to call you when something funny happens. Or show you a painting I think you'd like. Or help you make your apartment feel like a home. Rebecca's heart hammered. Marcus, we had an arrangement. I know. And if you want to keep it purely transactional, I'll respect that. I'll take the $12,000, we'll shake hands, and I'll walk away. But I need you to know that for me, this became real. And I think maybe for you too. She wanted to deny it. Wanted to retreat into the safety of their business arrangement, where everything had clear boundaries and expectations. But standing there on her sister's terrace, having just spent an evening pretending to be loved and discovering what that actually felt like, Rebecca couldn't lie. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. How to be in a real relationship. I'll mess it up. I'll work too much. Forget. To call, prioritize the wrong things? Probably. And I'll be unreliable sometimes, struggle with money, drag you to art museums when you just want to work. We'll both mess up. That's what people do. But what if I can't change? What if I'm too damaged, too closed off? Marcus took her hands, both of them, holding them between his. Rebecca, you've changed more in 3 weeks than you probably realize. You went to an art museum. You took a cooking class. You laughed until you cried when we burned that pasta. You're wearing color. You're here, at this party, being vulnerable and honest instead of armored and alone. That's not someone who can't change. That's someone who's already changing. I'm terrified. Good, me too. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. Rebecca felt tears threatening. My family will judge you. They'll think you're not successful enough, not stable enough. My mother will ask invasive questions about your job and your prospects. I grew up in Englewood with a single mom and holes in my shoes. I think I can handle your mother's subtle classism. Despite everything, Rebecca laughed. You're sure about this? About me? I'm not sure about anything except that when I'm with you I feel like the best version of myself. and you seem like a slightly less miserable version of yourself. That seems like a good place to start. Inside, Charlotte was waving at them through the glass doors, gesturing that it was time for cake. Marcus. Squeezed Rebecca's hands. We should go back in. But when we leave tonight, it's not goodbye. It's see you tomorrow. Or call me when you get home, or whatever normal people say when they're actually dating. I've never been normal. Thank God, normal would be boring. They went back inside for cake and more speeches and the slow winding down of the party. When it was finally time to leave, Charlotte hugged Rebecca at the door. I like him, she said, low enough that only Rebecca could hear. He seems genuine, and he looks at you like you're the only person in the room. Don't screw this up, Rebecca. For once, Charlotte's advice didn't feel like criticism. I'll try not to. In the car driving back to the city, Rebecca and Marcus were quiet, the evening settling between them. Finally, Marcus spoke. So, about the $12,000. You earned it. I'm not taking it. Rebecca looked at him sharply. What? Why not? Because if I take it, this stays transactional. Everything. We did tonight, everything we've done over the past weeks, it becomes a service I provided. And that's not what this was. Not for me. Marcus, we had an agreement. You did a job, an exceptional job. You should be paid. Then pay me differently. Take me to dinner tomorrow. A real date, where you're not pretending and I'm not performing. Where we're just two people who like each other trying to figure out if this could work. That's not equivalent to $12,000. It is to me. He pulled up in front of her building, putting the car in park. Rebecca, I don't need you to pay me for tonight. I need you to trust that what happened between us was real. Can you do that? She looked at him. This man who'd entered her life as hired help and had somehow become the first person in years to make her feel seen, understood, valued for something beyond her professional accomplishments. I can try. That's all I'm asking. He leaned across the center console and kissed her, soft and brief and full of promise. Dinner tomorrow, 7 p.m., I'll pick you up. Wear something other than black. You're very bossy for someone who's not being paid anymore. Get used to it, he grinned. Now go inside before I do something unprofessional like kiss you again. Rebecca got out of the car, then leaned back through the window. Marcus, thank you. For all of it. For seeing me. You're easy to see, Rebecca. You've just been hiding in plain sight for too long. 6 months later, Rebecca. Stood in her apartment, which no longer looked like a staged property. Marcus had been true to his word, helping her slowly transform it into a space that felt lived in. Books on shelves, photos on walls, a painting she'd bought at a gallery Marcus had dragged her to, plants that she kept alive with surprising success, evidence that a human being actually existed there. Marcus was in the kitchen making breakfast, whistling off-key to music playing from his phone. Rebecca watched him from the doorway, still amazed that this was her life now. They'd moved slowly at first, careful with each other's bruised places. Rebecca had messed up plenty, canceling dates for work, forgetting to call, retreating into old patterns when stress hit. Marcus had struggled too, with money, with his own insecurities about not being successful enough for her world, with the fear that he was just playing another role. But they'd stuck with it. They'd learned to fight without walking away, to be honest, even. when it was uncomfortable, to show up for each other in small, consistent ways that built something sturdy and real. Rebecca's phone buzzed. A text from Charlotte. Sunday brunch at Mom and Dad's. You and Marcus. No excuses. Rebecca smiled, typing back, "We'll be there." Family dinners with Marcus had become easier. Her mother still made subtle comments about Rebecca's work schedule. Her father still asked uncomfortable questions about when they were getting married. Charlotte still managed. Little digs disguised as concern. But Marcus navigated it all with humor and grace. And more importantly, he made Rebecca feel like they were a team facing it together, rather than her alone trying to prove something. "What are you smiling about?" Marcus appeared with 2 plates of scrambled eggs, the way he'd learned to make them that first night at her grandmother's house, rehearsing for a party that had changed everything. "Charlotte invited us to brunch on Sunday. Should I be worried?" "Probably, but you'll charm everyone like you always do." "I don't charm everyone, I'm just authentically delightful." He set the plates down, pulling her into a hug. "Besides, your family's starting to like me. Your dad actually laughed at my joke last time." "That's because you're funny. And you're biased. Completely." Rebecca kissed him, still marveling at how natural it had become, this casual affection, this ease with another person in her space and her life. They ate breakfast at her dining table, which got used almost daily now. Marcus told her about a big event he was coordinating, and Rebecca listened, actually paying attention instead of mentally reviewing work obligations. She told him about a difficult client meeting, and he asked thoughtful questions that helped her think through the problem differently. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said, setting down his fork. "Always. Do you remember that night, at your sister's party, when you asked if we'd just go back to..." "Being strangers after?" "Of course. What would you have done if I'd said yes? If I'd just taken the money and walked away?" Rebecca considered. "Honestly, I probably would have gone back to exactly what I was before. Convinced myself it was all performance, that nothing real had happened, that I was fine being alone. I would have locked it all away and gone back to work. And now? Now I know that would have been the biggest mistake of my life." She reached across the table for his hand. "You were right that night. I had changed. I just couldn't see it yet. You helped me see it. Helped me believe I was capable of this. You were always capable. You just needed someone to stick around long enough for you to trust it." Later that afternoon, Rebecca did something she hadn't done in 15 years. She set up an easel in her apartment by the windows with the good light, pulled out watercolors Marcus had bought her for her birthday, and started to paint. Just the view from her window, the city spread out below, the lake in the distance. Nothing profound or technically impressive. But it felt like reclaiming something she'd lost. Some part of herself she'd buried under spreadsheets and performance reviews and the relentless pursuit of safety. Marcus came to stand behind her, arms around her waist, chin on her shoulder. "That's beautiful. It's amateur. It's yours. That makes it beautiful." Rebecca leaned back against him, letting herself be held, letting herself be seen, creating something imperfect and human and real. "I never thanked you properly." "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For seeing past the person I pretended to be. For sticking around when I was difficult and closed off and scared." "Rebecca, You hired me to pretend to be your boyfriend for one night. Instead, I got to watch you become the person you were always supposed to be. I should be thanking you. We can both be grateful. Deal. That evening, they walked along the lakefront trail, holding hands. The August sun was setting over the lake, and Rebecca felt complete contentment, not satisfaction from deals, but actual peace. I have something for you, Marcus said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Rebecca's heart stopped. Marcus, relax, not yet. He opened it to reveal a silver bracelet. Simple but strong, like you. He fastened it around her wrist. Inside was an inscription. You were always enough. Tears sprang to her eyes. Marcus, you still struggle. Sometimes, feeling like you have to earn love by being perfect. So here's your reminder. You were always enough, Rebecca. Always worth knowing, worth loving, worth sticking around for. She kissed him there on the trail, not caring who saw. I love you, she said. I love you too. Even when you work late. Even when emotions are scary. That night, lying in bed with Marcus asleep beside her, Rebecca thought about 6 months ago. Alone in her sterile apartment, so desperately lonely she'd been. Willing to pay $12,000 for someone to pretend to love her for 6 hours. She thought about how close she'd come to missing this. But he hadn't walked away. And she'd been brave enough to try. Together they'd built something that started as fiction and became the most honest thing in her life. Her phone buzzed. A work email. Rebecca felt the familiar pull, then turned the phone face down and curled closer to Marcus. The email could wait. But this. Marcus's steady breathing and the bracelet reminding her she was enough. This was irreplaceable. Sunday brunch at her parents' house. Charlotte arrived with her kids, who climbed on Marcus immediately. Uncle Marcus, will you play dinosaurs? After brunch, buddy. Rebecca watched him with the kids, patient and playful. A year ago, she couldn't have imagined this. Now she found herself wondering. Not immediately, but someday. He's good with them, Charlotte said quietly. I was wrong about you. I thought you'd wasted your life. But watching you with Marcus, I realized you just needed your own path. Not my way or Mom's, your own. It was the closest to an apology Rebecca had gotten. Thank you. While Marcus played with the kids, Rebecca helped her mother clear dishes. Patricia spoke carefully. I owe you an apology. For making you feel like you had to be someone you're not. For implying your choices were wrong because they didn't look like Charlotte's. Mom. Marcus is wonderful, but more than that, you're wonderful. More relaxed, more present, more yourself than I've seen in years. That's not just him. It's because you finally gave yourself permission to be human instead of perfect. Rebecca felt tears threatening. I didn't know I needed to hear that. I should have said it years ago. Patricia hugged her daughter. I'm proud of you, Rebecca. Not for your job, for finding your way back to yourself. That evening, Marcus found Rebecca on the balcony. You okay? My mother apologized today, and I realized something. I spent so much time being angry at my family for not accepting me that I never showed them the real me. I kept showing up armored, never letting them see I was lonely or struggling. You were protecting yourself. I was hiding. And I needed to pay someone $12,000 to pretend to love me before I could figure out how to be myself. That's brave. You took a risk. You let me in, even though every instinct told you not to. That's the bravest thing I've ever seen. went inside. Rebecca showed him the watercolor she'd been working on. The city view from her window, but with people connected by invisible threads. Not perfect, but honest. "It's finished," she said. Marcus studied it. "It's incredible. The best thing you've ever made because it's completely honest. No armor, just you." Rebecca looked at the painting, then at Marcus, then at her apartment that finally felt like home. 6 months ago, she'd been willing to pay $12,000 for 6 hours of pretend love. Now she had the real thing, earned through being vulnerable, showing up honestly, letting someone see her completely. And she'd become someone worth knowing. Not the perfect CEO, just Rebecca, flawed and human, learning how to be both strong and soft, how to achieve and connect, how to be successful without sacrificing what made life worth living. There's someone in your life right now who's built walls so high, they've forgotten what connection feels like. Someone who's chosen safety over vulnerability, achievement over joy. Share this story with them. Remind them that the loneliest place isn't being alone. It's being surrounded by people who only see the mask. Remind them that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is admit we're lonely, ask for help, and let ourselves be seen. Because the walls we build to protect ourselves become the prisons that keep us from everything that makes us human.